Good evening. It is a late stream tonight. All right, here we go. So I need record ID, field ID, and file ID. I need to do a little bit of exploratory. Let's see. I should probably pull off the draft board just so that I don't miss. Well, that's round 2. I want round 3. Oh, that was it. That was the last pick. Oh wow, man, that's crazy. Shador did not go in the 3rd round. That is wild. That's wild. Can't believe that's the case. Let's see. What am I doing here? I need to see about trying to get a file. But I need to create a test app. Let's call this file app testing. Let's do this. What do I want to call this? Just call this attachments. Call this images. I know you guys can't see any of this. I'm purposely doing this off screen. Let's see, images over here. Close. Oh, whoops. I mean, my eye won't stop watering. It's been watering all day long. It's damn allergies. How y'all doing tonight? Is my chat working? Because it looks like I might have had a chat message and I may have missed it. Let me make sure my chat's working. No. Okay, no one sent me a chat. I didn't miss anything. You guys just aren't talking, which is totally fine. All right. I think that's a better place for the chat right there. Okay. Alright, so the tool that I'm trying to add basically is going to have to do with, it's basically going to allow my MCP server to retrieve files. So let's add a file here. Okay, and then I need to test this. So one sec. I'm doing this off screen because it involves an API key and I do not want to leak my API key. Like I know if I leak it I can just rotate it, but I don't want to deal with having to rotate it, so I'm not risking it because I don't trust myself. Let's see. Try it out. This is going to be app 748 and ID record ID 1748, record ID 1. Oh, we should also set this to formatted. Okay, let's see. So okay, so if I have interesting. All right, let's see what Claude does today in my current state. Let's see. What do I want to do? I want to make sure I have the most recent build. Okay, and then I'm going to open Claude Desktop. And I'm going to ask Claude to go get me some data for a particular record. So I'm going to say, please get me what do I want to say? Please get me the attachments field value for the record with the record ID value of 1 in the, what's this app called? In the file app testing. Alright, let's see what it does here. I know that's not really a very natural prompt, but that's not the whole point. I just basically am wanting to see to allow for this chat. Yep. I think it instead of ID, this should have been just ID. Yeah, it should have been lowercase. So allow for this chat. Field record ID not found. That's weird. There's definitely a record ID field in there. Huh. Wonder why I can't get that. Yeah, there's a record ID field, so I'm not sure why it ran into an issue. Let's see. It said the record has one attachment, file name is test.txt, file ID is 4367. Okay, so this is basically the information I need. Let's see the response. So okay. Okay, so I think then my tool is going to be very simple. Yeah, I think I can make this very simple on myself. So the API that I'm talking to, also, I probably have hidden your guys' chat messages. Oh, there's still no chat. This is very interesting. This is the first stream in a while where I haven't had any chatters. Let's see. Yeah, so this is very... I just need the record ID, the field ID, and the file ID. All of that will be contained in here, right? Because I've got file ID there, record ID here. The only thing that's not here is the field ID. But I think it has the field ID up here. So yeah. I think this will work. We'll just make this easy on ourselves to start with. Hello, COD newbie. How are you? How are you doing? I'm hoping not to have any type of technical difficulties this evening like I did last night. Actually, I realized today, or at least my wife told me today, that my computer that I normally stream on has not been running off its power adapter. It's been running off a little 65 watt power delivery dock. So I'm kind of wondering, that might have been some of my issues last night, was I was just kind of gassing my computer. Just pushing it beyond its limits on 65 watts of power. Because I think the actual charging cable it comes with is a 240 watt charger. So yeah, make sure your shit's plugged in. Lesson learned. Alright, so let's go ahead and open NeoVim. And let's write some code. Let's write some code. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is we'll go to our server, jump down here, and we'll say server.tool. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room. Let's see, server.tool. Actually, I don't need to add all those new lines. That was dumb. What I can do is I can just scroll. Alright, so what do we call this? We're going to call this get file. And we're going to say retrieves a file from a specific record in the OnSpring instance. And then my schema is going to be very simple. My schema is just going to be not app name. Yeah, I don't think I want... I don't know. Do I want it to be app name? Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing with these parameters is that the more LLM friendly they are, that means the more likely the LLM can probably use them in a single shot, like in a single prompt. So now I'm kind of debating with myself. So maybe we say app name. App name is required. And then we say field name. But then at this point, when we get the app and we get the field, at this point we need the record ID. And then we need the file ID. Right? We need the file ID. No, we probably need the file name is what we need. Because more than likely, if someone's looking at the file... Hey, what's up, Sogo? Just watched your short. Oh, yeah, you like that? You think that was funny? I'm glad you got some enjoyment out of that, man. We have our moments here on stream, don't we? I said I was going to make this easy on myself, and I've just completely thrown that out the window. Const tool will be equal to get file tool, and then we'll say return tool. I'll just be rec, and then in here we need to pass the app name. Well, we need to pass the client, the app name, rec ID, and the file name. Did you mean get fields tool? No, I meant get file tool. I just haven't declared it yet. Are you going to bed? Okay. Alright. Love you. AI official YouTube. Now that's quite the username. Hi there. We see you cooking. Want some grease? No, I'm good. I don't need any grease. That's quite the YouTube name though. AI official YouTube channel. Sogo, it's Steven's birthday week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate that. Actually, it's not just my birthday week. Today was my 10-year wedding anniversary. So there's another reason to like and subscribe. I've made it to 10 years of mostly happy marriage. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's been good. 10 years of bliss. The banana. What are you making? So the banana, I'm actually here. I'm going to pin this message. I'm going to reply to you in a message, and then I'm going to pin it because a lot of people tend to ask me that. Let's see. I'm working on building a model context protocol server. Specifically, one that allows the client to retrieve data from an OnSpring instance. You can find more about the model context protocol here. Uh-oh, that was too long. To retrieve, to get data from an OnSpring. I have to shorten it by 25 characters. I'm building, there we go, I'll just shorten this to MCP server. There we go. Alright, I'm going to pin this message. I don't mind talking about it, but I just think it might help if I pin this message that has that link. There we go. That might help. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, Banana, about it, but basically this is a model context protocol that you should be able to wire up to an MCP client, something like Cursor or VS Code or Claude Desktop, and then it should enable that client to be able to retrieve data from a piece of software called OnSpring. Sogo, congrats. I appreciate that, Sogo. That's very kind of you. Devashi, hey, congrats for your anniversary. Hey, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys. It's actually a big deal, you know, like to do anything for 10 years is a big deal. We've actually, my wife was doing the math. We've been together for 17 years and we've been married for 10. So we've been on a long journey together. Hello, Suhas. What's up, man? How are you doing? Let's see. I426.7.7. What is the language? This language is TypeScript. Suhas, go. No, Suhas, it's TypeScript. Bro is going. So go hotel. C#, I think. No, it's TypeScript. That's funny. You guys guessed Go and C#. No, it's TypeScript. I'm still working on that same thing I was working on last night. This is actually the last tool. This is the last tool I'm gonna add, and then I'm gonna call this server pretty much feature complete, and I'm gonna move on to something else. I'm gonna get this like feature complete. I'm gonna put it into a npm package that people can bring down and use to run the server locally if they're interested in exploring it, and then I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Delvey did make, like, you can also you can see the file extension there, can't you? Good point. Dalvey, good point. Suhas anniversary? Yes, it's our wedding anniversary. We got married 10 years ago today. Hello, Henry. How are you? I don't recognize your username. Are you new here? Suhas, any advice for people? I've talked about this before on another stream. Basically, my biggest piece of advice to anybody wanting to have a long-term relationship with another person is you have to be prepared to make a choice every day, right? There's nothing. I know that's not romantic, but like it is. It's a choice. You wake up, you choose that person every day, and then the secondary thing is there that you have to be prepared to change, and you have to be prepared for that person to change, and you have to be willing to grow alongside them and change alongside them. You know, I met my wife when I was 15. I'm 32 now. I am not at all the same person I was at 15, and she is not all the same person she was at 17. And so that's really the key. You gotta wake up every day, pick each other, and then be willing to adapt and change together. Sogo, I just remember you usually saying you worked in C#. I do, yeah, Sogo, you're right. I do usually work in C#. But this, I wrote this in TypeScript because before, or when I started writing this project or working on this project, there was no C# MCP SDK. That has since changed, though. So if you go to the Model Context Protocol website, they actually do have an official C# SDK right there. So it came out after, though, after I'd already started the project. 291 Blue. Do you need a degree to learn this? No, man. No, not at all. If you're interested in this stuff and you want to learn, jump in. Henry, can you please live shout out? Yeah, Henry, I think I said your name. Hello, Henry. Glad to have you here. Hope you're doing well. So go. It even says TypeScript next to that. Oops. Yeah, don't even feel bad about it, man. I've never even thought about that, about people being able to see that information at the bottom of the screen. I mean, how many times have people asked me what language I'm working in? Log to Monkey. Is it open for contributions? Sure, you're welcome to contribute, man. Here's my here's the GitHub repo. It may be difficult to contribute to if you don't know anything about OnSpring, because you kind of need to know about the API that I'm talking to. But here's the Git repo if you want to. You're welcome to hack along, you know. Henry, I have a question. Go ahead and shoot, Henry. Happy to answer your question, man. Uzair, congrats on the anniversary. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Henry, would you recommend pho? Alright, do you mean like the soup? Like the Korean dish? Right? Pho? That's a Korean soup, right? Or did you mean something different? Uzair, what is the best language for graduate job? Uzair, the best language really depends on the type of work you want to do and the company you want to work for, right? So, like for example, a great language is JavaScript. A great language is TypeScript. Or actually, hold on, this is a better example. A great language is Python. But if you wanted to get a job where I work, that wouldn't be a great language because nothing we do is in Python, right? So you kind of have to tailor what it is you have to do one of two things. You have to say, I want to work for X company, so I'm going to learn X language or X tech stack, or you flip it and you declare that you are X type of developer, right? For example, like if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see my LinkedIn headline says, I build automated testing solutions for web applications using Playwright in TypeScript or C#, right? And so you either have to be very declarative about the technologies and the language you use and then try to find companies that will match, or you have to adapt yourself to the companies you want to work for. Neither are bad. It just depends on what you want to do. Henry, would you recommend PHP as a language? I don't know enough about PHP. It sounds like the PHP community is really cool. It's particularly like the whole Laravel community seems really, really cool. But I've just never written any of it. So it's hard for me to like recommend a language I've never written, right? But I can recommend it in the sense that it seems like a useful language. Lots of people seem to be building stuff with it. So I don't think picking PHP would be a bad decision. COD Newbie, I'd love to contribute. Yeah, you're more than welcome to COD Newbie. Like I said, it's kind of a weird project to contribute to because it does require some domain knowledge of that third-party system that the MCP is wrapping, essentially, right? Because you can kind of think of the MCP server as like a wrapper around an existing API or an existing piece of software. But you're more than welcome to hack on it if you want. Henry, stupid autocorrect. Yeah. Soga says Vietnamese. Ah, yes, I said Korean. I am wrong. That's my fault. Totally my fault. Log to Monk. I'll give it a go. Would be awesome if there are docs about the API too. I'm trying to tackle this NPC hype, and since you are using TypeScript, I'm all for it. The docs for the API are the best docs are here. This is actually a site I wrote for this API, so you're welcome to reference these docs. It's a publicly available API, but you won't be able to actually make requests to it because the software is a paid piece of enterprise software, Log2Monk. So you'll be able to see the documentation and explore the documentation, but you won't be able to actually make actual requests to it, which might make contributing kind of difficult. But maybe at the very least, looking at what I'm building and what I'm writing might be informative to help you build an MCP server around some piece of software or some API that you are familiar with. That might end up where you're at. Let's see, Uzar. Current companies in the UK expect everything. Current companies in the UK kind of expect everything. They want .NET and Python and will also ask for C++, so I don't know which way to go. Oh, that's tough, dude. That's really tough if that's what companies expect. I don't think that's a realistic expectation, in my opinion. If it was me, Uzair, I would probably go deep on .NET. If it was me, and maybe throw in a little Python as like a supplementary thing, right? That could be like your scripting language of choice or something to complement your knowledge in .NET. I don't know how deep I would go on C++. I guess it depends on what kind of jobs you're applying for. I primarily do web development stuff, so I kind of feel like C++ would be a little overkill for those kinds of jobs, but I could be wrong. COD Newbie, I can see that you have a documentation hosted on your personal website. Yeah, it's hosted as on a subdomain. Basically, every project I do is just a subdomain of my personal domain because I'm not gonna pay for 15 top level domains for a bunch of projects that don't make me any money. You know, it just doesn't make sense. Especially when you can just use subdomains, you know, and subdomains are free, and you can make as many as you want. Alright, let's go to the tools file here. And we are going to add a new tool. We're going to call this export function get file tool. Let's see if Copilot can help me fill in the blanks here. Let's see, client, yep, app name, file name, that looks right. Whoops, I scrolled too far. Export function get file tool. Oh, hold on. My tab completion is up above here. Oh my gosh. Please ignore my lack of Vim skills. Alright. So get the app ID, that will work. Then I can get their fields, which is fine. This is wrong. This is wrong. Yeah, so let's see. Let's go down here. We're going to say get file by ID. Yep. Okay. Savvy Tech Tip, what's up? Savvy Tech Tip, what are you coding? Savvy Tech Tip, you can see that pinned message. It kind of gives you more detail, but essentially what I'm building is a model context protocol server, right? So this is like, you can think of this as like a API designed for an LLM. That might be a good way to, a good mental model. Log to Monk, all cool. I'll figure out how to implement something nice. Also, I got into .NET just for Harmony and Bipinex. I'm a sucker for exploiting games when I'm bored. Interesting. You use that? What are the? I don't even know those technologies. Harmony and Bipinex. Harmony built on top of the monomod.runtime detours. A library for patching, replacing, and decorating .NET and mono methods during runtime. Interesting. So like for people who are building games in Unity, you're modding or exploiting those games with these libraries. I think if I was one of those players of those games, I wouldn't like that, but since I'm not a player of one of those games, hey man, all the more power to you. If you're having fun, you know, go for it. Corito Kum, is there any plugin in Vim for AI suggestion? So I use NeoVim, so I don't know about Vim, but for NeoVim there is GitHub makes a NeoVim Copilot plugin, which is what I use to get the Copilot completion. So it's a GitHub extension. It's really easy to get set up and to get working. But that's how I get like the that's how I get all my like that right there. That's Copilot. So for sure, Corito, there's definitely a way to get. There might be other plugins out there too that I don't know about, but this is the one that I use, and I'll just link that in the chat for you. Maybe save you some Googling. It's worked well for me. Let's see. Who's there? What do you think about vibe coding and AI in current state of the market? I think some of it's overhyped. Who's there? I think some of the vibe coding stuff is just like, it's just dumb, right? Some people who are claiming that they like recreated Google Drive or recreated Notion or whatever, pick whatever app, and they'll say, I created my own version of that by just vibe coding it. Like, I just think that's investor bait. I think it's clickbait. It's hype. I do think there is something to vibe coding though, from the perspective of someone who doesn't know how to code. It is a nice way to kind of democratize the ability to build things. So yeah, I'm like in the middle, right? I don't think AI is complete trash or not valuable, but I also am not on the other end of the spectrum where I think like vibe coders are going to take over the world and learning to code is useless and all that. So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Savvy tech tips. Wow, out of my league. No, you're not, man. You're not out of your league. What's up, Toad Sage? How are you, man? Good to see you again. Someone asking Vim AI suggestion. Bro, why are you using Vim? Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe he just meant NeoVim, which is what I'm using. So maybe just words got mixed up. Toad says we love it. Yes, we do love it. Cod Newbie, is there any specific upside to Zod over using normal types and interfaces in TypeScript? So Cod Newbie, the big thing with using Zod is actually runtime validation, right? So when you type things, right? Like I can show you, right? Let's go real quick. Let's open up filter.ts, right? And let's scroll down to something like, I don't know. Let's scroll down to like convert filter string, right? This is a typed parameter. It says it can only be of type filter, right? So when you're developing and you're writing TypeScript, you're going to get good feedback when you call this method if you've passed something that is the correct shape, right? That conforms to that type or conforms to that interface if it was an interface. However, when you compile this, when you build this, and you actually get the filter JavaScript, that typing isn't there, right? So that the types aren't protective at runtime. Zod is though. Zod is actually going to parse the thing that you're given and validate that it actually conforms to that schema, which is why in the MCP TypeScript SDK, that's the reason why for all of these tool inputs, we're using Zod to define the shape of those inputs, because not only do we get then the strong typing or the declarative typing, but then we also get runtime validation. So that's the benefit, right? So like types and interfaces in TypeScript are great when you're developing, but they're no use at runtime. Once you've actually transpiled it to JavaScript and are actually running it, with Node or whatever you're using to run your JavaScript. C++ utilities. Nope, it's a psycho to using AI suggestion with Vim. Oh man, C++ utilities is very opinionated, dude. And you're entitled to your opinions. Log 2 month. Hey man, you buy it, you own it. It's not like I pirate. Wouldn't stoop that low. Fair enough. I'm not using, just asking by seeing completion. Yeah, but you can definitely use Copilot in NeoVim. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure about Vim, but definitely in NeoVim. Log2Monk. Vibe coding is obsolete. All these models are outdated since 2024. Can help with some hard coding solutions, pros and cons. Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to the whole AI powered workflows for sure. I'll tell you guys, to be honest, I tried to do some vibe coding and I just didn't enjoy it. Like, I'd much rather sit down and write the code than to try to coax an LLM to write the code that I want it to write. Yeah, so I think if somebody, I've made a couple shorts about this, but if somebody told me tomorrow that, hey, you can't be a developer unless you vibe code, then I wouldn't want to be a developer. I'd just move on to some other career, and I do programming and coding in my free time for fun. Log2Monk. Zod works well with Bun too, I believe, since it's made under the same IP. Yeah, I haven't used Bun too much, so I don't know. I'd have to take your word for it, but I would assume, right? Like you said, since it's under the same IP, probably plays nice together. But I think it's for people who may be new to TypeScript, right? That probably can be a common misconception, is like, TypeScript is not like C# in the sense that, C# enforces type and structure and class declaration at compile time, right? So your code will literally not compile if you've not provided the right shape, right? So it guarantees that at runtime the thing is what the thing is. That is not the case with TypeScript, right? TypeScript types and interfaces, they're there while you're developing, but the moment you transpile from TypeScript to JavaScript, nothing is certain, right? So at runtime, it could, and anybody can do this too in in TypeScript. You can like cast, right? You can do like a type assertion or typecast. So yeah, it's just not the same, right? It's sort of static typing, but not static typing, right? So I think that's an interesting thing to remember, right? And that's why Zod is so powerful, is because then if you use Zod, you don't just get the declarative typing, but then you get the runtime assurance as well. C++ utilities. It's my first time watching live stream of coding. It was good time. Thanks, bro. However, it's not my skill stack. Hey, man. Fair enough, dude. Yeah. Go. Always happy to have you guys stop in and check it out. But if it's not for you, it's not for you, dude. So, have a good day. Good morning, matey. Hello, Voldy. How are you doing? You having a good day? Black on Black Studios. Connect Gemini AI Code Assist to your VS Code. It has built-in MCP and A2A features. That's very cool. VS Code has MCP support just out of the box. It's an MCP client, so you can set up MCP servers in it. Same thing with Cursor. Same thing with Claude Desktop. I'm not sure about Windsurf. You don't have to connect Gemini to VS Code to get MCP functionality. The A2A functionality, the agent-to-agent stuff, I don't know about that, though. The agent-to-agent stuff is very new. So I'm not sure how that's supported. Toad says, Zod uses regex, so either you can write it by yourself or use Zod. Yes, and I would much rather use Zod. Zod's API is very nice. The fluent syntax of their API is wonderful. Hey, what's up, Neo? It's been a minute, man. How have you been? You been doing good? Voldy, having a good day. I was working on my HTTP server. Nice, dude. Yeah, I saw the little bit of code you shared in Discord. It's kind of crazy, right? Like that HTTP server just comes down to properly parsing some text sent over the wire. It makes me appreciate using things like like .NET, you know, like things like minimal APIs, things like Express or Hano. Makes me appreciate all the work somebody did to abstract all that stuff for me. Log2Monk. I have yet to see a scripting language built on a Rust engine. Maybe that's your next project. I don't have the dev chops for that, Log2Monk. Building a language? Yeah, I don't know, man. I've never written a lexer or parser or any of that stuff. C++. I don't mean that I'm leaving. I love to learn. I'm learning now too. Oh, very cool. Okay. I thought you were like, hey man, I appreciate the stream, but it's not my thing, so I'm dipping. But yeah, you're welcome to hang out, man. Stick around. Neo, what's the time there? Yeah, it's 11:04 p.m. as Voldy said. We are in Central Standard Time. Steven, I want to know, do you use Fugitive? I've never actually heard of that. What is that? Fugitive? Coding? I'm guessing it's coding related. Is it this? Vim Fugitive? A Git wrapper so awesome it should be illegal. If that, I mean, obviously the fact that I don't know what you're talking about means I don't use it, right? But no, I don't use that. Actually, the thing I've been using the most lately for more complicated Git stuff is Lazy Git. That's what I've been using. Vim plugin. Okay, yeah. No, I haven't. That's but what I've been using is Lazy Git is what I've been using most recently. This guy? Is this pretty cool? Like terminal-based kind of GUI, right? Or TUI, I guess I should say. TUI for Git operations. So for more complex things, I've been using this. But happy to have recommendations if you think there's something better out there, you know. Shivam. Hello, Shivam. How are you doing? I like the green check mark in your name. It makes you look very official. Toad says, yeah, I remember. I recommended that to you, remember. Oh, that's funny. Well, there you go. Toad Sage, that's... I'm sorry, man. I forgot about that. It's been a couple months, I think. That's funny. Hello, Inspire. Good to have you here. Let's see. Do you know any tools to start making a good code by just giving it some Figma or UI design in TypeScript? There is a company. I've seen demos. I've never used it. I think it's called Builder.io. I think, yeah. I think this will actually take in Figma designs and then build them in a front-end framework of your choice. So that might be kind of interesting to check out. I really like the founder of this company. Makes really good TikTok and YouTube content. His name's Steve. I think his name's Steve too. I think Steve at Builder.io. Yeah, this guy. He makes really good YouTube and TikTok content. Oh look, he has an MCP video. That's funny. But yeah, I think his company actually is kind of built features specifically around that. So you might check that out. And also, you should subscribe to his YouTube channel, which I should have already been subscribed. I watch a lot of his stuff on TikTok, but he seems like a good dude. Lazy Git and Lazy Docker. Yes, you also. I do remember you recommending Lazy Docker 100% for certain. Which I don't. Did I ever install that? I think I installed that. No, I did not install that. Maybe on my other computer I installed it. Fifth Nail. What's your program tonight? This is a model context protocol server. And yeah, chat, Voldy helps out quite a bit with answering questions. So if he gets to you before I do, yeah, we appreciate him, because sometimes I fall behind. How much progress we in? We're actually pretty far. This is the last tool I'm gonna write. Is gonna be this get file tool. But we're pretty far along. Like, if I can kind of demo it for you a little bit, so you can actually see it in action. Let me open Claude Desktop. And it may not be I mean, the thing is, guys, like, complete transparency, it's useful if you're an OnSpring customer, right? So it's not super useful if you don't use OnSpring, right? Just like an MCP server that talks to GitHub is not very useful if you don't use GitHub. But I can kind of demo it for you. So let's see. Let me clean up some tabs here. So you can do stuff like, for example, I can say, can you find me all the records in my user's app whose full name field equals Stephen Freeborn. And then I should be able to send this to Claude. And hopefully Claude will be able to figure out that this is relevant to a tool, which it did. So it'll ask me to use that tool, which is coming from the MCP server I'm building. And then hopefully it'll try to create a filter, a query. We'll try again here. Try again. I think I have a bug in my code because it says field's full name not found. I don't know why it's saying that. I think I have a bug somewhere. Let's see. I found the record you're looking for. So yeah, you can do stuff like that, right? So that, I mean, that's basically what the MCP server allows you to do. It just allows you to go get data from some source and put it in your context window. And also it could, you know, you could also have Claude, I guess, take action against things. But in this case, I'm just using it to retrieve data. I'm not going to allow it to, like, create records or delete records or do things like that. But you could. You definitely could. I'm not going to do that in my implementation at this point, at least. So yeah, we made good progress. All right, well, I'm all cut up. I'm all cut up on chat here. All right, let's go back to implementing this. All right, so this is a problem. Okay, so what we actually want to do here is we want to say for we'll say let field, and then we'll say for const field ID field of actually we can do this. We can say object, we can say const field of object dot values, like that. Oops. The worst thing you can do in NeoVim is turn on caps lock. Everything goes to hell then. Then we'll say field. Oh no, if field dot name assign it. Oh, yeah. That's a bad idea. Let's see. Target field. Let's just call it target field. I know that's not a very good name, but I'm not going to get hung up on that. Target field. Like this. And then what we'll do is we'll say target field. And then we're going to need the file ID. So this is where we're going to actually need to introduce a new what do I want to, there we go. So we need to get the file ID. So the way we do that is we say const record, and we say equals awaits client.get record by ID. And this is going to be const get record request equals new get record by This API I'm talking to is kind of, it's just, it wasn't designed with an LLM first in mind, so I've got to do a lot of massaging to get to the final answer. Let's see. I fell behind here. Why Claude versus OpenAI? Not any real particular reason. It's just Claude Desktop's what I have installed, so it's kind of the easiest MCP client I can use to test with. Inspire sick, have to get around me. Yeah, you should definitely take a shot. There's what's really cool. Inspire is there's a ton. People have made a ton of these things. If you go to this GitHub, if you just type in MCP servers, there's a whole like GitHub that just basically identifies different MCP servers. Like there's one for Postgres, there's one for SQLite, for Slack. I mean, just about any system now, it seems like somebody has written an MCP server for. So it's pretty cool. Black on Black Studios. Can you explain briefly how I can use an MCP server with the right tools in my travel flight booking CRUD app? So basically, Black on Black Studio, the idea would be, let's see if I can draw this for you. I know I'm behind a little bit, so if you're still here, the basic idea would be, you know, you have an MCP server, and then you have your booking app. And so I would assume that your booking app would expose some sort of API, right? Some sort of public API. And it would allow people to interact with your booking app, right? Like to create a booking, delete a booking, update a booking, whatever, through some sort of publicly accessible API. And then what you would do is you'd build an MCP server that basically says, here's a list of tools. Here's a list of tools to do CRUD things, CRUD tools. And all these CRUD tools would do is they would tell the client, hey, you need to provide me this information. And then those CRUD tools would just call that API for your booking app, essentially. That's kind of at a high level how you would do it, right? So you can just think of your MCP server as just sort of a another wrapper around an API, but it's designed with like an LLM first type of design. It's kind of a helpful way to think of it. Operator Saran, if you invest in a stock called ASTs, you be rich by 2030. ASTs? AST stock. I have no idea what that stock symbol is. And it seems a little spammy. To get rich in 5 years. I don't believe in get rich quick schemes. Oh, everybody said it was spam. Yeah, it's spam for sure. It's at, yeah, spam. I don't know, to get one of you nerds to put some money in a space satellite stock so we can have cell service anywhere on planet Earth. Okay, this guy's kind of a spam. Do you guys want me to ban him? Yeah, y'all want me to ban Operator Saran? He seems a little spammy. He also called us nerds, like in a derogatory way, even though I happily claim the title of nerds. He kind of said it to us like an insult. Dylan Crow, I've been thinking about MCP like an exosuit for my bot. Yeah, that's a good way, Dylan. That's a great way to think of it. It's another layer, right? It's just another layer, but this layer is specifically designed, right, to allow MCP. I mean, I say LLMs, but it's really designed for MCP clients. But most MCP clients are going to be some sort of application that talks to an LLM through some sort of chat interface. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Fifth nail, yes. I bought into the stock myself. Operator Saran, I'm a nerd too. Well, I mean, you're Operator Saran. I'm not gonna block you, but I'm just gonna like tell you we don't need your stock advice. All right, you invest how you want to invest, but no need to try to pressure chat into putting money into some random ass stock. But wish you all the luck, man. I hope you get rich by 2030. Black on Black Studios. Appreciate you, Steven. I screenshot your diagram. You the GOAT. Definitely cleared things up. I'll do some more research. Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to build an MCP server, because at first when you're thinking about it, you're like, okay, what's the magic here? How does this work? You know, you're trying to figure out like a mental model for it. And so I think just sitting down and trying to build one in that sort of architecture that I kind of drew out might help develop that mental model a little bit more. To me, it's very similar to if you think of things like language server protocol or the debug adapter protocol, right? Where you have debuggers that know how to debug, right? And then you have and so you want some way for the debugger to share its information to another program, and so you need some sort of common language, right? And so that's the MCP layer, right? Is that common language to say, yeah, we know you have all these existing pieces of technology. You have SQLite and you have the file system and you have all these existing APIs, but we need to create a common layer that everyone can speak, right? Or at least that all the LLMs can speak, or all the LLM chat apps can speak. I don't know what the right language is there to describe it, but yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that's why it's getting more and more adoption. And I think it makes more sense to have something like this than having a bunch of people like reinventing the wheel, trying to build their own agentic frameworks with their own durable workflow engines, right? That just seems unnecessary. Akbar Nafis, what's this code all about? What are you building? So Akbar, I'm building a model context protocol server. I feel like I keep saying those 4 words. But you can basically think of it like an API for an LLM is what you can think of it like. Boldy, maybe give me... Yeah, we might be reaching that point sometimes where we want to have some people in the chat maybe exercise some judgment over people trying to get us to buy stocks. I just think that's wild that anybody would come shill out a stock. Dylan, so it's like a node with the correct in and out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. Okay, operator Saron, I'm gonna time you out, buddy. I'm not gonna ban you, but I'm gonna time you out. Because you really I can tell you really want to talk about this, but I don't think any of us want to talk about it, so I'll give you a 24-hour timeout, and maybe you come back when you want to talk about something else. Oh man, the internet, dude. The internet. It's a wonderful place. It's also a strange place. That's the double-edged sword. Alright, let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, so we need the app ID, the record ID, the field IDs, the data format. So this actually is pretty easy. So we already have the app ID. We have the record ID now. What else do we need? The field IDs. So we're going to pass in just... well, really, we just need the target field. Yeah, we just need this. And then we're going to call data format formatted. And then we're going to pass that in here. So the whole point of doing this, the reason why we're doing this is that way we can get the file ID. So then we can say const field value equals record dot oh no, we need to make sure this is successful, so we're gonna do another check. Record response, we'll say if record's response is false or record's response data is null, we'll throw an error with the message and the status code. Otherwise, we'll say const record, actually hold on, const field value equals field data, and yeah, we're gonna find it. And then we need to cast this, so we need to say const attachment. Oh, actually, we need to say if target field dot type is not equal to field type dot attachment, or target field type does not equal file type image, right? So if it's not one of these two, then it's not a file. It's not a proper field. In which case, then we're going to throw an error. Why is this complaining? Why does this want me to separate this into a... I don't know why this is complaining. Riz, who remembers when the PS2 came out? I remember when the PS2 came out, Riz. And I did not get one. Yeah, I did not get one. Suas, are you a dad who talks about money on dinner table or money in evil? No, I talk very openly about money, Suas. So finances and understanding money and understanding the rules of the game is really important to me. And so I'm actively trying to educate both my sons about, money is not necessarily good or evil. It's a tool. And you need to understand the rules of the game, and you need to understand those rules so that you can play the game well and win the game, right? So I'm actively trying to talk very openly to my children about our finances and our money and how they should think about money. So for sure. Suas, you should make a productivity score, number of lines divided by time. Yes, the other people the other day, Suas, were saying a productivity score that wasn't even good enough for them. They wanted, well, I guess what they wanted was kind of a productivity score. They basically wanted to see lines written over the length of the stream. They wanted like a graph, which in most cases, that graph would look like this. It would be like if this is so if this is lines written, and then this is time. Oops, dang it! I always do that. I always push escape too many times. But basically my graph would look like this: very productive at the beginning, and then not so productive as the stream goes on because I just run my math too much. AB, what is MCP? It stands for Model Context Protocol. Yep, what Voldy said. You can read more about it in the pinned message. I linked to the documentation side about it if you're really curious. But if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer to the best I can. I'm actively learning just like everybody else. So the real authority is the documentation, obviously. Introvert, what language is this? This is TypeScript. Yes, same thing. It is TypeScript. Voldy, introvert TypeScript. Yeah, it's... that's that guy's name is Introvert. That's a pretty good username. I thought you meant like we were writing introverted TypeScript code. A TypeScript code that doesn't like to talk to other people. Abhishek says, what are you building? I just joined. I am building, basically, it's called an MCP server, or a Model Context Protocol server, but you can basically think of it as like an API for LLMs, right? Kind of where the LLM is like they're kind of like the primary consumer of the code. Blueberry Jubery, is this Python? It is not Python. It is TypeScript. Voldy, you are working overtime, man. I appreciate you trying to jump in there and help out with answering questions there. And I don't really fault anybody for honestly for asking the question either, right? Because like I get it, you're coming into the middle of this without any context, so I totally get asking questions. Yeah, I think I wanted an and, not or there. Okay. And then what I want to do here is I want to say let file ID equals number or null. Actually, that reminds me, up here where I have field or undefined, I'm actually going to change this to null. I think null feels more purposeful. we'll say null. Then we know we have an issue. And then down here, what we're going to do is we're going to switch, and we're going to say switch on the target field type. And we're going to say if field type is attachment, we're going to do something. And then if it's that, we're going to do something. And then if it's some random type, we should throw an error. We should never get to this point, right? But because we're checking up above. But yeah, we're going to be exhaustive. All right, so if it is this, then we're going to say const attachment field value equals field value dot as attachment array. Oh, you know what? I just had a thought. Yeah, I just had a thought. I don't think I can support images, because images actually this is just something that it's more of a problem with the API than it is anything else. But I think record data format, so basically the crux of the issue is I don't think my API returns a name in the case of images. Yeah, I don't think it returns a name. I need to think for a second. So I'm going to talk to chat. Flubbery jubbery. That's literally what I said. Oh, nice. He's building an API in TypeScript. Yeah, it's basically an API, but for an LLM. You can kind of think of it that way. Ukti? Is that how you say your name? Can you hack a website? I cannot hack a website. I can poke around, but I don't think I can actually hack one. Ukti seems like he's trolling you, Voldy. Yeah, I'm not going to hack a website. Suha says, I think bro should look at chat more often. He's getting too productive. I mean, we will get rid of it, you know, problem solve. Yeah, I'm getting too productive. Oh, 115 lines is pretty good for me on a stream. You know, that's pretty good for me. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually not going to support image types, because images don't have a file name, so there's no way for me to look it up. So I'm not going to support this. I'm not going to support that. So we're actually going to do this. We're going to say this is not an attachment field. It's funny, errors are actually pretty important in the context of MPC servers. I mean, they're important in the context of any programming situation, but it's interesting because the errors you throw, you're kind of crafting the errors in such a way that you hope the LLM can take the error into its context window and sort of figure out what it did wrong, and make adjustments, which is kind of interesting. It's like you're trying to you're putting a lot of effort into focus. You're putting a lot of effort into making sure you return meaningful errors, which I think is a good thing, right? We probably don't think about the errors we return enough. Let's see. If field value is undefined, then we know we have an issue. So we can go ahead and guard against that. Then what we can do here is we can say const file equals attachment field value dot values dot find, and we are looking for v dot name, and we'll say v dot file name, I think is what we're looking for. This is an array. Oh, do I need to call it? Why the heck did I do that? I don't know why. I don't know why I made that callable. Let's see. V dot. Let's see. Files. I don't know why I did that. We'll say for const file of attachment field value dot values. Then we'll say if file dot file name dot to lowercase yeah, this is going to be file ID. And then we should probably guard against here. We'll say if we can't find the file ID, we couldn't find it. Otherwise, we're going to pass the file ID in. And then this is going to be the file response. Let's see, if file response. Oh, I should have just renamed this, shouldn't I? There we go. Ukti says, if I was a hacker, I will hack and delete Cornhub. I wish I could. Oh man, that's aggressive. There would be a lot of unhappy people on the internet with you. Suos, how to distract Steven. Ping him in the Discord 3 billion times. No, don't do that. Other people might not like that. I forgot to open Discord, actually. I should have had Discord open, huh? Toad Sage, okay, Steven, time to go to lunch. Oh, nice, Toad Sage. Have a good lunch, man. Thanks for hanging out all this time with you. Appreciate it. So, Suhas, I don't want to annoy him, but I want to distract him. Well, ask me some questions. Let's have a chat. I always find that very distracting. Yeah, okay, so this data is a file, and it has a stream. So I need to convert this stream. Okay, so the first thing I want to return is a text object, and I'm going to say this. And then I want to return, there's got to be a type in here that's like, let's see, image, audio, resource. Okay, I'm going to have to do some, now this is where I'm going to have to do some research because I don't know model context protocol. Files. Let's see, binary resources. There we go. Let's see. Binary resources contain raw binary data encoded in base 64. These are suitable for images, video file. Okay, basically any type of file. So then how would I return? Let's see. I'm gonna have to go digging through the types of the, let's see. Tool callback. This returns what? Call tool result, GD. Call tool result, schema. God, look at all this. Oh man, look at this. This is just messier than hell, isn't it? Let's see, image. I think we want to return a resource. That's audio. I think we just want to return a, there's the resource. Okay, so resource is going to have a URI, a meme type. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, here's a blob. I can return a blob. A base 64 encoded string representing the binary data of the item. I think that's what I want to do, is a blob. Okay, let's try that. Tools. Get file tool. So we type this as resource, and then we say what, blob? Blob. That's not gonna comply with the yeah, it's not gonna comply. What if I do, what if I just set this to text? Yeah, that's not gonna work. Oh, interesting. So what if I set this to text? Huh. I need to find an example of somebody doing this. Let's go. Let's go. I bet they do it in the file server. What do you bet? In the file system, MCP, I bet they return files. Well, they're just returning as text right here. That doesn't seem helpful for non-text files, but whatever. Let's see, Voldy, I'm working. Oh no, you're talking to each other. Bob, what is MCP server? It's like a API for an LLM type situation. Bob, you could ask ChatGPT. That's not a bad idea. Let's ask. I'm gonna ask Claude though, Bob, if that's all right with you. Let's see. I'm building an MCP server. I'm retrieving the binary content of a file. How do I return that as a response in the MCP server? I'm using the MCP TypeScript SDK. This seems like something it would hallucinate. This is not the right thing. Oh fuck. That's not the right thing. Hold on. Let me go over here. So let's just try URI. For this type, why is this type not working? This error right here is just so, property resource is missing in type resource meme type string, but required in type unknown type resource. Oh, is this like a nested? I see what I'm doing wrong. I think I'm supposed to do, yeah, okay, this is an object. There we go. That's what I was doing wrong. I was like, I thought, looking at the definitions, I thought I understood, but I guess I didn't. There we go. Yeah, I think this should be a base 64 encoded string. So if this was a string, would everybody be happy? Why is this still not happy? Property URI is missing in type blob string but required. Well, okay. Why are you making this so difficult on me? If I type this text, can this be blob? Will this work? No, it will not work. type text blob string text is not assignable to type unknown. Okay. So it needs to be a resource. And I just need to define the resource correctly. So the resource is going to be, it's going to be a blob, which for now just has an empty string. The meme type is going to be file.content type, like that. And then the URI is just going to be actually, I have the URI. Actually, I do have the URI. So I think up here I have the URI. File dot. Sorry, I'm thinking to myself a little bit here. This should be... I'm just going to leave this as an empty string for now, because I don't know what I want to put here, but I know I can put something meaningful there. Like that. Okay, everyone's happy now. So then now what I need to do is I need to turn my stream into a base 64. A base 64 string. That's what I need to do next. Vassar, what coding language? This is TypeScript. Hello, Tanner. How are you doing? Artwork Studios K. Anyways, gotta go. I'm working on a project. Don't worry, I'll leave phone on so that I'm still on stream. Hello, Artwork Studios. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Oh, we got some new people. Arkin, okay, chat. I leave the chat to focus on my learning while video streams the background. Bye for now. See you, Arkin. Thanks for hanging out, man. Let's see, hockey. I don't understand exactly what we were trying to achieve here. You have a file with binary data, and you are wanting to return some sort of data back. Would it not be in a linked list or something? So basically, Claude, or basically most LLMs only understand files as base 64 encoded strings. So that's basically how you have to return it, is just a blob of text. Mayor, I guess is how you'd say your name. Mayor, new here. What are we making? We're making a model context protocol server. Is what we're making. Hockey, did I hear a C4 encoded string? My ears are gone. No, a base 64 is what you basically, in most of like OpenAI, Anthropic, I think Gemini is the same way. They all require you to provide file data, basically read the file data and then convert it to a base 64 encoded string. That's basically how they can provide it's how they can read the data that's in the file, essentially. I'm guessing when they train these models, they probably convert binary data to base 64 encoded strings, and they train the model on those base 64 encoded strings. So that's how it's able to read it. Hockey base 64, yeah. No, bin to hex, yes. Yeah, what is it? Base 64 is like, it's quite large. It's quite significantly more size that you take up, right? Let's see. How much bigger is a base 64 encoded version of binary data? It takes up quite a bit of more space. Yeah, 33, like, so a third. You have to use about a third more space to represent that data that way, which is kind of crazy. Seems super inefficient, but Who am I to judge the model creators and their approaches to things? Voldy, your mic's not. That's funny. Voldy thought my mic went broke. But it's very possible. I definitely have muted myself and streamed for multiple hours while muted. Tanner, what is the issue? Oh, no issue anymore. I figured it out. Basically, I was just trying to figure out what the shape of this object needed to be so that all the typings, all my TypeScript stuff was happy. So I've got the right shape, and now I just need to pass the blob the right information right here. Base 64 is more efficient than bin2 hex. Interesting. I've never actually heard of bin2 hex. Or what is that? Binary to hex? I've never actually used that before. Tanner, no. You encode to bay58. Now you guys are just trolling me. Let's see. Is it because the data is in multiple dimensions of data types that we need more representations of it? I don't know. I honestly don't know, Hockey. I have no idea why that is the requirement. I'd have to know more about how the transformers are built, I think, and how they're trained, how the models are trained. See you, Artwork Studios. Have a good night, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We're having a solid... Oh, man, it's already midnight. Okay, I'll probably go for like another 20-ish minutes or so. Otherwise, in the morning, I'm going to be useless. Alright, so how do you convert a stream? I'm sure Stack Overflow knows how to do this. I don't think I've ever done this. I think I have to do something with buffers and a readable. Let's see. TypeScript stream to base 64. Oh, look, someone has a gist of it. Let's see if this... I think they're using some third party. I don't think I want to do that. Excuse me. Yeah, I think I have to do something fancy here, huh? I basically need to read it into a buffer, right? And then turn the buffer into base 64. I think it's kind of like the gist of what I need to do. I'm not sure if this is efficient. So let's say I did const... yeah, let's do chunks. And this is going to be an array of buffers. That. And then we are going to can we for await over that data? Stream. Yeah, because it's a readable. So we can for await. And then we can push the chunk on, right? We should probably check if it's a buffer. Let's see. Const is buffer. And then say if is buffer. We can push it and continue. Otherwise, maybe we try to create a buffer. Otherwise, you do chunks dot push like that, and then we will. That's our file buffer, and then here we just need to say file buffer to string. I think this will work. I honestly am not sure about this. Or it looks right to me, but I've never actually done this before. Voldy. Anyway, Steven, remember that event I told you about? I do remember that event. I haven't thought very much about it, but I do remember what you told me. I'm running out of steam. I can tell that. I would like at least to try this to get a file though tonight. Let's see. This is a readable. What happens if I was to do? What if I piped over this? Let's see. File response dot data dot stream dot pipe. Yeah, I don't know. Could I do like a... I guess I could... Well, I don't want to write it to a file. I want to keep it in memory. We'll try this. We'll see if this works. Let's run a quick test. See if we can get this to work. Get file tool. Yada yada. Okay, so let's go npm run build. All right, then we're gonna open Claude Desktop, and don't pay attention to my prompt engineering, okay? I might actually run out of free messages while trying to test this. If I run out of free messages, the evening is over, people. But you can see I've got a new tool here, like get file right there. Okay, so let's give this a shot. This is the file that I'm going to have it try to retrieve. This is the content of the file. Okay, so we'll say, can you get me a file named test.txt from record ID 1 in the field named attachments in the app named file app testing. All right, we'll see. This may just completely break, but we're gonna see if this works. Yes, allow for chat. Let's see. I wasn't able to retrieve the file. The system returned an error indicating that this specific file doesn't exist in that location. Interesting. So basically hit here. So let's see. File name. I think this is where I should use the inspector, don't you think? Let's do npm run inspect. We don't necessarily need to go through Claude to test this. We can use the inspector, which is a pretty handy tool. The inspector is basically like Postman for your MCP server. So let's say list tools, get file. This is going to be called file app testing. Attachments, record ID 1. Field requested. It says field requested is not a file type field. Okay. All right, we're gonna have to do a little. We're gonna do a little printf debugging here. Or are we? What time is it? It's almost 12:20. Yeah. I think we'll leave it at this for the moment. We'll just catch up with chat here for a second. Tanner, you need fallback, validation, and time processing. I'm not sure that that's useful feedback, but yeah, we'll say yeah, sure, Tanner. Let's see, Alex Mercer, are you it for work or a hobby doing? It's just for learning, Alex. The API I'm using is made by the company I work for, but it's not like part of a work assignment or anything. I'm trying to learn about the whole MCP idea. Voldy, you're being very, very helpful, and I very much appreciate you adding context to chat. That's very nice of you. So you're using test.txt and text. What's the actual file name? Oh, the actual file name is test.txt. Did I type that wrong? No, this is the actual file name. So something is going awry. Something is going awry here. Because it should find it here. I'm not sure why it's not. Let me print this. Then we'll have a little bit more information. And let's also print this. Let's print console. Yeah, target field. Let's print that too. Little printf debugging never hurt anybody. It's not very efficient, but yeah, it'll build my project too. Let's see. Connect. Get file. Let's see. File app testing. Attachments. Record ID 1. Okay, let's see. Attachment field value, right? So you guys can kind of see this. It's kind of hard to see, but can I make this bigger without completely distorting it? Yeah, there we go. You can kind of see the print statements here. I'm definitely getting the right field back. And this attachment field ID definitely has a file with that name in it. Let's see, error field. Oh, I think I found my problem. Yeah, this is this is always the problem with method signatures like this, right? Record ID, field ID, file ID. They're all numbers. And so what I've done is I've passed the wrong values, right? They're in the wrong order. Basically, these two are swapped. This should be record ID, and this should be target field ID. Okay, let's stop this inspector. Let's restart it. That'll rebuild my project too. Every time I start the inspector, it builds my project. Alright, let's connect. Let's try again. We should be closer this time. I'm expecting us to actually get the file this time. Where is it? Get file. There we go, get file. File app testing. Field name is attachments. Record ID is 1. File name is test.txt. Let's see. Hey, it was a success. Yeah, and there's my blob. There's my blob. Okay, so now let's try in Claude. So let's quit Claude. Actually, let me copy this so I don't have to remember what that prompt was. So let's quit Claude. We'll restart Claude since I have a new build for the server. Look at us. We're actually being productive this evening. Nah. You told Claude the wrong name, but the inspector the correct one. Oh, maybe that's what it was all along then. Alex Mercer, damn, I feel like a noob while seeing you. Damn this autocorrect. Let's see. I'm sorry, I wasn't able. Oh, that's what Nazma said. Let's say, I'm sorry, I failed. It should be a file named test.txt. see if it can get it this time. Let's see. I received a response indicating that there's an issue with the file type. The system returned unsupported image type text plain. This suggests the file exists, but there might be a limitation. Oh, interesting. So does that mean I need to handle this, handle different types? Because this isn't coming from me. Yeah, this is not. This is coming from the I think this is coming from the MCP client. So yeah, I might need to do a little bit more research about how files are supposed to be returned. Yeah, not Nasmus. Thanks for pointing that out, man. Text and test, they are different words. Arkin, named arguments are loved for a reason. That is so true, Arkin. That's so true. Although I'm always scared to use named arguments, because then people, like, if they update their code and they change the name of the argument and then they break you. So I'm always nervous about doing that. But you're right, named arguments are OP for that reason. Tanner, you could do all of this with tool calling in your API. You could, Tanner. So I'm pretty familiar with Anthropic's API. The thing that makes this much nicer to use MCP is MCP takes care of all that for you, right? So you don't have to worry about translating your tools to a JSON schema and then checking if the model handed back a tool result or a tool request, a request to use a tool, and then you have to actually take that input and pass it into your function. You don't have to do all that with an MCP server. The MCP server and the MCP client understand how to do that back and forth communication. So yeah, I totally agree. You could recreate all this functionality with tool calling, but this is like a layer of abstraction above all that, so you don't have to worry about the minutia details of, OpenAI uses this function calling, Anthropic uses this tool calling variety, Gemini uses this. Hayes says, bro, change your hobby to something else like Game Cheater. You're going to earn lots of users and even money if you want to make it paid. Well, if I was doing this to make it paid, that might be good advice. But maybe when you come into a chat, maybe start with asking questions and some curiosity first. I just do this for fun. See, Arkin, named arguments are in fact more resilient to code/API changes, though. You think so? You think they're more resilient? Like, what I mean, Arkin, is like, if you're using someone else's API, right, that you don't have control over, and you use named arguments, and then that publisher decides to rename the argument, so like you're basically, when you use named arguments, you're taking a dependency on the name of the argument, right? I mean, they could break you through naming. They could also break you through like reordering the positions of parameters in a method too. So I guess it's kind of on them just not to do that, right? That would just be bad practice. But that's the thing I always think about when I'm using a named argument. I'm like, what if they decide to change this argument name? Nasmus, you're returning a base64 blob to the Claude API, but I don't think you're allowed to do that. I don't know if it can parse that. It tries to display base64 info as images, so it's trying to read the text as an IMG. Yeah, and I'm guessing MCP has, because MCP should work with not just Anthropic, right? It should work with OpenAI, because OpenAI adopted it as well. So I'm guessing there's some way I'm supposed to return the different types of files correctly, right? Like, I guess I maybe need to check to see what the meme type of the file is. And then if it's a text file, return it as text. But if it's an image file, return it as... So I might need to do a little bit more code. I may have had too naive of an implementation. Joy watching. Nice laughter. Tanner, I guess it depends on how advanced your API is. I use Cerebus and it prompts itself to. I'm not sure I know about Cerebus. Let's see what Cerebus says. Cerebus has trained a huge assortment of models from multi-language LLMs to healthcare chatbots. Is this what you're talking about? Cerebus? I've never heard of this. Interesting. I'm assuming this is what you're talking about. Maybe it's not what you're talking about. Nasmus, I haven't worked with MCP. I've used LangChain mainly, but I usually just return contents of text files as strings and images as base 64, and that's it. Okay, that's probably what I need to do. Because I'm guessing, like, if I look at their, let's see, model, context, protocol, TypeScript. Tools. Let's see. So response.data, this would be text. I'm trying to look at an example of where they're returning a file. But I don't know if they have any examples. Type resource. Yeah, they don't have any examples in the README of that. But I think if I look at the source, I can kind of see tool. Let's see. Oh, examples. Let's see if they have any examples here. Excuse me, sorry. You would think they'd have some section in their documentation. Here we go. Binary. This is what I was looking at earlier. Okay, binary resources contain raw binary data encoded as base 64. So basically, this is just non-text formats. Text resources contain UTF-8 encoded text data. These are suitable for... Yeah, so... So in my code, I basically need to look at the file's content type, I guess. Let's see. To do. Need to check file's content type. If file content type is text, then convert to UTF-8 string and return as text. Otherwise, return as base 64. Also, the other thing I need to do, the other thing I need to then decide is what MIME types are text versus not text. I mean, that's kind of already answered for me, I guess, on that other page, on this other documentation page. But I just need to explicitly state that, I guess. Let's see. Maybe there's a list of text meme types. Well, maybe we can ask Claude to do this. Give me a list of text meme types that you support. Not that because Claude supports it, it means MCP supports it, but maybe this would be a good list of a good list to start with. Plain text, JSON, XML. All right. I think I've come to the end of my evening. Let's see, Hucky, dumb question, but if I converted video to base64 and handed it to a large language model or MCP, would it be able to recreate the video pixel by pixel based on just the encoded string? I honestly don't know. I've never tried that. My guess would be it wouldn't be able to, or you need some sort of special model to be able to do that, but I honestly don't know. Nasmus, are they actually pronounced meme types? I always call them yeah, maybe I'm saying it wrong, Nasmus. I honestly don't know. I've always just said meme types, but I guess it could be mem types too. All right, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me this evening. I think we made some good progress. I mean, 160 lines changed. That's pretty good for me on a stream. So I'm gonna say a win is a win there. Let's see. Git add git commits first run at git file tool. But yeah, pretty solid evening. Voldy, good night. Bolt, hello. Sorry for you to jump in and then me ditch out on you. Naveen, hello, Naveen. Tanner, if you're still here, thanks for hanging out. Nasmith, appreciate you jumping in, man. Very helpful contributions in chat. Appreciate you. Arkin, then you get loud failure, which is a good thing. You want your API changes to be loud. True, Arkin. Very true. It's a loud failure. If someone changes a named argument, that's a good point. Bolt, missed the whole stream. I'm sorry, Bolt. I know, it's shitty timing, man. Hockey, noise. Love the stream. Dude, Hockey, that's how I write nice all the time. I always say noise. That's awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to go to bed. I'll be around tomorrow. I'll probably stream mid-afternoon tomorrow, something like that. But we'll see. Weekends are always weird because, you know, hanging out with family and making time for all that stuff. So, but if it's, it should be a pretty chill day tomorrow. So if it's chill and everyone's just hanging out here at the house, it'll probably be kind of a mid-afternoon stream for me, like 2 o'clock Central Standard or something like that. All right, y'all. Have a good night. I'll talk to y'all later. If it's already Saturday for you, I hope you have a great Saturday. Or I guess if it's already Sunday for you, have a good Sunday. I honestly don't know. Time zones fuck me up. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.